This segment of CoastLife is sponsored by the Parker Group.
Well, 2025 is winding down, and if maybe your goals for 2026 include buying a home, you might want to know what the market is doing. That's why we've got Dustin Parker with the Parker Group joining us today. It's been a minute since we've chatted a little bit about the real estate market, what things are looking like. How are things shaping up for 2026?
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the most unpredictable years that we've had in quite some time. The last 3 years, the market has been, roughly the same. We had this like crazy activity when interest rates were in the 2s and 3s for quite a long period of time, and then they jumped up to almost 7 nearly overnight. And so we've seen the market kind of remain roughly flat. Most homes are appreciating depending on your zip code and your community and your price point. But they are taking a little bit longer to sell now, and buyers just have a lot more choices than they did a few years ago as well.
Gotcha. So what it's kind of looking like for sellers is pack your patience. Might take a little bit longer to sell your home than maybe you heard from your friends a few years ago. But for buyers, you don't necessarily have to grab something if it's not the perfect fit. You can also shop around a little bit.
Yeah, and it's really interesting when the National Association of Realtors released some data over the past few weeks. One of the things that we learned is that the average age of a first-time home buyer today has creeped all the way up to 40.
Yeah, I bet.
Which is just incredible. And just about a decade ago, that was in the late 20s and early 30s. And the average age of a typical buyer in the market today is 59 years old.
Wow.
And so if you are a seller, you need to understand that and make sure that your agent understands that, so that we're marketing to the right people. Because unfortunately right now, if you're below 40, odds are that you're not the primary home buyer in today's market. And it's unfortunate, affordability continues to be a challenge for most people. But for sellers, you really need to focus on that above 40 segment so that we can make sure that we're getting in front of people who can actually buy today.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting point, because when you think about, if the average home buyer, that age has increased, it also changes the way or what that average home buyer is looking for in their home. Maybe more of a ranch house style, so you don't have to go up and down a bunch of stairs. So are you seeing any sort of patterns or trends that way, or things that maybe sellers should be aware of with that in mind?
Yeah, and trends are always kind of cyclical, they kind of come and go. It's interesting to see that most people today continue to want that like first floor master bedroom, whether they're younger or older.
I do see that a lot, yeah.
A lot of younger people don't want the stairs anymore in their homes. But what most people probably don't know is that if you are building a new construction, your cost per square foot is going to be a little bit cheaper if it's a 2-story versus a 1-story for the same square footage, because it's easier to kind of stack your construction materials versus spreading it out over a longer base. And so that's something to consider if you're looking at new construction.
That makes a lot of sense. Is there anything else that people should kind of know about or be aware of from the buyer side or the seller side going forward, looking ahead to 2026?
Yeah, I would say for both buyers and sellers, just to remain patient. There is more inventory on the market today, and if you take your time kind of sifting through it, if you're a buyer, you have a little bit more negotiating power than you had previously. You can certainly ask for inspections and probably negotiate some repairs and things into your contracts as you go through that process, which has been great for buyers, because we went through this era where you just had to kind of make offers sight unseen almost, to waive inspections just to get into a house. And today, affordability remains really the biggest challenge.
Sure.
But if you are able to move forward and purchase today, then you do have a little bit more optionality. And then for sellers, again, I just would reiterate that patience. Prices fortunately have remained pretty stable. So it's not like we're in this 2008 market where prices have kind of fallen off a cliff. So you still have that equity in your house. It's just taking a little bit longer to sell. So you need to be much more patient in this process.
Yep, that makes sense. So then if folks are ready, they are in a spot where they can make that purchase, or they're ready to sell, but they want to make sure that they've got the people who will hold their hand every step of the way, how can they get a hold of you guys at the Parker Group?
Yeah, visit our website at theparkergroup.com, or call or visit any of our offices. We have an office in each of the counties in Delaware, but we service the entire state of Delaware and the eastern shore of Maryland. So we'd love to work with anyone who needs assistance.
Fantastic. Well, Dustin Parker with the Parker Group, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you so much for always keeping us up to date, informed about what the world of real estate, what that housing market is looking like, because it's information that people need to know.
Thank you.
Of course. Coming up on CoastLife, though, we want to make sure that everybody in our area, every child has something to open Christmas morning. We're going to tip our hats to those who are making that possible with Bless Our Children on the way.